"There seems to be a mistake, sir. We need you to move to accommodate our VIP passenger," Jessica, the flight attendant, said, her tone condescending despite the polite phrasing. "This seat is reserved for only our platinum members. You don't belong and can't sit here." Behind her stood Karen Wickfield, an elegantly dressed white woman tapping her designer watch impatiently, her eyes darting between Marcus, the black man in seat 2A, and the spot she clearly considered hers. "I always sit there. It's practically my seat," she muttered, just loud enough for nearby passengers to hear. Marcus looked up, confusion crossing his face. He had done everything right. Booked early, paid in full, arrived on time, and was a platinum member. Yet his presence was framed as a problem. Calmly, he reached for his wallet and produced his platinum member card. "I am a platinum member," he replied evenly, "and this is my assigned seat." Jessica's smile tightened, a flicker of surprise quickly replaced by determination. "I understand, sir, but this particular seat is typically reserved for a better customer," she said, pointing to Karen, our regular platinum member who flies with us frequently. The implication was clear. Regardless of his status, Marcus didn't belong. Passengers began to notice, phones slowly emerging, whispers starting. What the flight crew didn't know was that this simple act of discrimination would change everything in the next few hours, not just for them, but for the entire airline, because the person they underestimated held their fate in his hands. This story is the ultimate example of karma arriving with its own first-class ticket. Marcus wasn't just any passenger. At 42, he was the founder and CEO of Right Tech Solutions, a $2.8 billion AI company specializing in customer service technology. His software helped companies identify and eliminate bias in interactions, an irony considering what was about to unfold. Marcus's story began long before his success. Growing up in South Chicago, he taught himself to code at 11 on a second-hand computer. While other kids played video games, Marcus built them, creating simple programs that evolved into complex algorithms. His path wasn't easy. At 16, his father was killed in an attack that shook his community. Standing at his father's grave, young Marcus made a promise that would define his life: to make people see each other as human beings first. That promise fueled 2 decades of relentless work. Starting his company in a tiny apartment, Marcus coded for 18 hours a day while working odd jobs to pay rent. Earlier that day, airport security cameras captured him helping an elderly woman with her luggage, patiently assisting her to her gate. He held doors open for strangers, thanked every service worker by name, and tipped generously at the cafe. Not because he was watched, but because that's who Marcus Richardson was. Humble despite his success, kind despite his power. Now, he was traveling to deliver the keynote address at the Global Ethics and Technology Conference. As Marcus settled into his first-class seat, a spot he'd chosen for its legroom to work during the flight, he had opted for Skylux Airlines, the epitome of luxury air travel. First-class tickets cost more than some people's monthly rent, offering heated towels, champagne service, and seats that reclined into full beds. But behind this polished exterior, Skylux was struggling. Their booking systems were outdated, customer service rankings had slipped, and they were eagerly pursuing a partnership with a major tech company to revolutionize operations. They needed this deal badly. What the crew didn't realize was that sitting in seat 2A was the CEO of the very company they hoped would save them. Flight attendant Jessica Miller with Skylux for 8 years, prided herself on knowing regular first-class passengers' preferences. She always ensured Karen Wickfield got seat 2A, now occupied by Marcus. Jessica had bills to pay, and Karen's generous tips helped cover her mortgage. "Sir, we have a platinum member who always sits in this particular seat," Jessica said, leaning toward Marcus. "Would you mind moving to another class seat?" Her tone was polite, but carried an expectation of compliance. Marcus looked up from his tablet, momentarily confused, then showed his boarding pass. "I'm sorry, but this is my assigned seat," he explained calmly. "I'm also a platinum member." Karen stood in the aisle, her annoyance unhidden. "I always sit there on this route. It's practically my seat," she said, loud enough for others to hear. The situation grew uncomfortable, passengers watching as Jessica shifted nervously. "Sir, perhaps you'd be more comfortable in another section," she suggested, implying a downgrade. Marcus remained composed. "No, thank you," he replied firmly. "I've selected this seat specifically for the legroom, as I need to work during the flight." Jessica's smile tightened. She nodded curtly and walked to the front, glancing back occasionally. What happened next was secretly caught on camera by a passenger across the aisle. Karen stepped forward, ostensibly to stow her bag, slipping a folded stack of notes into Jessica's pocket with practiced discretion. "I appreciate your help with this situation," she whispered, audible to nearby passengers. Jessica's face flushed as she accepted the money. A simple seating dispute transformed into something sinister, a bribe to discriminate based on appearance. The atmosphere in first class shifted. Trevor, the cabin supervisor, approached Marcus with a confident stride, his posture rigid, expression fixed in assumed professionalism. "Sir, we need you to move to accommodate our VIP passenger," he announced loudly, his tone a command. Marcus looked up, his calm eyes revealing weary familiarity. "I've shown my boarding pass and platinum status," he replied evenly. "This is my assigned seat." Trevor's face tightened, a muscle twitching near his jaw as he leaned in, his condescending tone making passengers shift uncomfortably. "Perhaps you're unfamiliar with how things work on this airline," he said, emphasizing each word. "We accommodate worthy customers who have specific preferences." The confrontation captured the cabin's attention. A businesswoman across the aisle discreetly recorded, her video soon to be viewed millions of times. Karen stood in the aisle, her impatience theatrical, checking her watch with an exaggerated sigh. "I have an important meeting right after landing," she announced. "I need my usual seat." This is beyond ridiculous. Passengers' expressions told the story. "You should get out of the seat. He doesn't even look like someone that can afford it anyway," one said. Emboldened, Trevor leaned closer, his voice dropping to a near whisper, still audible in the tense quiet. "Sir, we can do this the easy way, or we can make this difficult. Your choice." The threat lingered as passengers held their breath. Many might have yielded, but Marcus wasn't most people. Looking Trevor in the eyes, he stated firmly, "I'm not moving. This is my seat." 6 simple words, delivered without anger but with certainty. Trevor's face flushed. This wasn't going to plan. He straightened, adjusted his tie, and walked briskly to the front, picking up the service phone, his agitated gestures visible to all. The tension was palpable as Trevor spoke urgently into the phone. Passengers exchanged glances, some typing on their phones, others watching with interest. Marcus returned to his presentation, his calm exterior unshaken. 5 minutes passed before the cockpit door opened. Captain James Reynolds emerged, his weathered face set in a professional mask, followed by Trevor and a visibly uncomfortable Jessica. The captain's presence signaled an official intervention. Stopping beside Marcus, he towered over him, his voice carrying practiced authority. "Sir, I understand there's a situation," he began, measured but firm. "My crew has the authority to assign seats as needed for the comfort and convenience of all passengers." Marcus looked up at the three employees, the power dynamic unsubtle, 3 standing, 1 seated, yet his composure held. "Captain, with all respect," he replied steadily, "I have a confirmed seat assignment and platinum status. I've selected this seat for the legroom I need to work. There's no policy requiring me to give up my seat to another passenger who prefers it." Trevor smirked, believing he held the advantage. "Sir, if you continue to be uncooperative, we'll have no choice but to remove you from the flight." Marcus's eyebrows raised slightly, his first sign of surprise. "Are you threatening to remove me because I won't give up the seat I paid for?" he asked, disbelief evident. Before the captain could respond, Karen's voice cut through. "This is ridiculous," she exclaimed dramatically. "I'm going to miss my connection. I've never been treated this poorly in all my years of flying." The irony wasn't lost on passengers, several exchanging looks of disbelief. Sensing the situation spiraling, Captain Reynolds adopted a firmer stance. "This is your final warning," he stated. "Move to another seat, or we'll call security." Marcus reached slowly into his jacket pocket, withdrew his phone, and began recording. "I want to be clear about what's happening here," he said calmly, capturing the scene. "I'm being threatened with removal because I won't give up my assigned seat to another passenger who wants it." Trevor's face contorted with anger, reaching for the phone. "Recording is not permitted," he snapped, his hand close to grabbing it. Marcus pulled it back. "Actually, there's no federal law prohibiting recording on an aircraft unless it interferes with crew duties. I'm documenting this for my protection." The legal knowledge caught Trevor off guard. He withdrew his hand, his expression darkening. The heavy footsteps of 2 airport security officers boarding the plane marked a point of no return. They moved efficiently down the aisle, guided by Trevor's gesture to Marcus's seat. The cabin fell silent, all attention focused on the confrontation. Marcus remained seated, posture straight, expression composed, his phone recording from his lap. "Sir," the first officer began, "we've been informed there's a situation requiring your removal from the aircraft." Marcus nodded, maintaining dignity. "I'd like to understand the specific airline policy I'm violating," he requested, voice clear. "I'm sitting in my assigned seat with a valid boarding pass and platinum status." The officers exchanged uncomfortable glances, their certainty wavering. "Sir, you need to gather your belongings and come with us," the second officer stated, avoiding the question. Marcus looked at Captain Reynolds, flanked by Trevor and Jessica. "Am I being removed for refusing to give my assigned seat to another passenger?" he asked directly. "You're being removed for creating a disturbance," the captain replied, the words hollow. A murmur ran through the cabin. An elderly man shook his head. A young woman wiped tears. Passengers voiced dissent. With quiet dignity, Marcus gathered his belongings, closing his tablet case, tucking notes into his briefcase, and stood slowly. Karen watched with smug satisfaction, a smile playing on her lips as he was escorted out. "Serves him right. He clearly doesn't belong," a voice said. "He didn't do anything wrong," another countered. "I'm recording all of this," a third announced. Marcus walked with his head high, back straight, eyes forward, the posture of a man familiar with injustice. As he passed Trevor, Karen slipped another folded bill into Trevor's pocket. "Thanks for handling that situation," she whispered, audible to recording phones. First class should have standards. The implication lingered as Marcus stepped off, pulling out his phone to text his COO, Elise. I was removed from the plane, but they picked the wrong person to humiliate. While most might be flustered or enraged, Marcus exhibited controlled composure. "Sarah, it's Marcus," he spoke into his phone. "I need you to assemble the legal team immediately. I've just been removed from a Skylux flight in a textbook case of discriminatory treatment." The security officers lingered, their certainty dissolving. One reviewed the incident report on his tablet, his expression troubled. "Sir," he said hesitantly, "I believe there may have been a misunderstanding. The report indicates you were disruptive, but witness statements don't corroborate that." Marcus lowered his phone, gaze steady. There was indeed a misunderstanding, but not on my part. I was sitting in my assigned seat when I was asked to move for another passenger's preference. When I declined, I was forcibly removed. The officer shifted uncomfortably, glancing at his retreating partner. "We apologize for the inconvenience, sir," he offered weakly before leaving. Marcus resumed documenting, recording a detailed voice memo of every interaction, word, and nuance. A young woman approached, clutching her carry-on and phone. Marcus recognized her from across the aisle. "Excuse me, sir," she said, indignant on his behalf. "I followed you off because I couldn't sit there and be part of this. I recorded everything, from the flight attendant's first approach to them forcing you off." She showed him the clear footage, capturing his removal and Karen's bribe to Trevor. "This was clearly discrimination," she continued, voice trembling. "You should have this." Marcus's expression softened. "Thank you," he said with gratitude. "This may be very helpful." They exchanged contact information, her promising to send the video and testify if needed. Neither knew it would soon reach millions. Back on the aircraft, Karen settled into Marcus's seat, her satisfaction barely concealed as Jessica delivered champagne. "I'm so sorry for the disruption, Miss Wickfield," Jessica offered deferentially. "We want to ensure your flight is perfect." In the galley, Trevor and Jessica exchanged knowing looks as he counted the $200 Karen had slipped him. "Nice bonus today," Trevor murmured, tucking it away. "Some passengers understand proper appreciation." Neither realized this bonus would cost them dearly. Suddenly, a call came through for an emergency meeting. An admin informed them they'd made a grave mistake that could cost their jobs. The three looked at each other, frightened, no longer in control. Who was the man they'd removed? At Skylux headquarters, CEO Richard Williams reviewed quarterly projections when his PR director called. "Sir, we may have a serious situation," she said, voice edged with panic. "A video is going viral showing a passenger removed from a flight this morning." Williams sighed, dismissive. "Passengers get removed for disruptive behavior every day, Janet. Handle it with the usual statement." "Sir, this is different," she insisted. The passenger wasn't disruptive. A black man in first class refused to give up his assigned seat to a white woman. The video shows our staff accepting cash from her before and after his removal. The blood drained from William's face. "Send me the video now." Watching it, his expression shifted to horror. The clear discrimination, money changing hands, the man's dignified composure. A PR catastrophe. "Who is he?" he demanded. After a pause, "Yes, sir. According to the manifest, his name is Marcus Richardson." Silence followed. "Did you say Marcus Richardson?" Williams whispered. "Yes, sir." "Does that name mean something?" Williams collapsed into his chair. "Marcus Richardson is the founder and CEO of Right Tech Solutions, The company we've been courting for a $50 million partnership, quietly buying our stock for 2 years. Miles away, in a private airport lounge, Marcus sat with his rapidly assembling team. COO Elise Thompson arrived within 20 minutes, bringing legal counsel and communications staff. Laptops buzzed, the atmosphere crackling. The video has reached 2 million views, the communications director reported, showing climbing numbers. Major news outlets are picking it up. Elise and Marcus exchanged a look of shared understanding. They don't know we were evaluating their company culture for the partnership, Elise said, her tone bitter. They just gave us their authentic selves without realizing who was watching. At Skylux headquarters, the social media team faced a spiraling crisis. Skylux discrimination trended nationally. Video views hit 5 million, celebrities amplifying it. Williams, surrounded by his grim executive team, took a call from Marcus's office. "Mr. Richardson," he began, voice strained, "I extend our deepest apologies for this morning's inexcusable incident." "Wait," the CFO interrupted, searching files. "The Marcus Richardson, the tech CEO." Williams nodded as Marcus's calm voice came through. "Mr. Williams, I appreciate your willingness to speak directly. As you may be aware, my company owns approximately 25% of Skylux shares, a controlling stake with our partners. I want an emergency shareholder meeting immediately. Today's events raise serious concerns about Skylux's culture and ethical treatment of passengers. An emergency board meeting convened with urgency. Board members in golf attire, or rushed from family events. Tension suffocating. When Marcus entered, the effect was electric. Conversation ceased. Heads turned. Despite the day's events, he carried quiet confidence, wearing the same suit from the plane, a reminder of the ordeal. His team, Elise, legal counsel, and others followed. Williams dimmed the lights, playing the devastating video. Trevor's condescension, the captain's weak justifications, the money changing hands. Silence lingered 30 seconds after. "Mr. Richardson," Williams began, face ashen, "we express our deepest apologies. This behavior doesn't reflect Skylux's values. I'm not interested in apologies." Marcus interrupted, resolute. Board members shifted uncomfortably. "As your largest individual shareholder, I have one demand and one decision. Every staff member involved is terminated immediately. And I'm canceling the proposed contract between my tech company and this airline." Williams glanced nervously. "While we understand your frustration, perhaps suspensions, some have been with us for years, and union agreements." "This isn't negotiable," Marcus stated, hands flat on the table. "It's accountability, or I'll pull my investment in the $50 million contract." A financial analyst burst in, thrusting a tablet at Williams. "Sir, news of the incident is affecting our stock, down 12% and falling. Analysts predict a 30% drop by closing without decisive action." Williams realized this wasn't just one incident. It was survival. The man they'd removed held Skylux's fate. 3 floors below, Trevor, Jessica, and Captain Reynolds sat in silence, in a sterile conference room, summoned without explanation. The HR director entered at 4:30 p.m. with legal counsel and 2 security officers, an unusual presence signaling severity. "I'll be direct," she began, placing 3 folders on the table. "Your employment with Skylux is terminated, effective immediately." Jessica gasped. Trevor's face contorted. Reynolds closed his eyes. "We were following procedure." "That passenger was difficult," Trevor protested. The HR director opened her laptop, playing the viral video. Trevor's condescension, Jessica's discomfort, the captain's failure. Karen's bribe clear? Was accepting money to discriminate procedure? She asked. Jessica broke down. We made a terrible mistake. I knew it was wrong, but didn't stop it. Reynolds offered weakly. I trusted my crew's assessment. You failed in your responsibility to the company and basic decency, the HR director stated. The passenger was Marcus Richardson, CEO of Right Tech Solutions and our largest shareholder. The revelation hit hard. Escorted to collect belongings and exit, they felt the humiliation Marcus had, the symmetry devastating. In Skylux's main auditorium, hundreds gathered for an unprecedented announcement. CEO Williams stood with Marcus and his team. Today, Skylux failed a passenger fundamentally, he began. This wasn't isolated. It's symptomatic of systemic issues we must address comprehensively. Marcus stepped forward. Every employee will undergo comprehensive bias training before returning to service, Williams continued, developed by Right Tech Solutions, a permanent part of onboarding and education. Murmurs spread as Marcus addressed them. This isn't just about punishment, it's about transforming your culture. What happened was wrong, not because I'm a shareholder, but it'd be equally wrong if I were anyone else. Employees nodded, some embarrassed. Starting tomorrow, Williams announced, Skylux will implement a 48-hour grounding for mandatory training, every flight suspended while staff participates. Gasps echoed, an unprecedented shutdown costing millions, signaling commitment to change. In the following weeks, Skylux transformed. Conference rooms became training centers, schedules adjusted for all employees to participate. The training, immersive and challenging, confronted biases through simulations by Right Tech's experts. Marcus addressed sessions personally. This is your chance to be part of the solution, he told skeptical employees. What happened to me happens daily to those without my resources. For some, his presence was transformative. For others, his engagement showed commitment to change. Outside, consequences unfolded. Trevor, Jessica, and Reynolds faced rejections. Airlines unwilling to hire the viral video's figures. Karen was banned from Skylux, placed on leave by her company, her actions dissected nationally. Friends distancing her, forcing her to confront her entitlement. Skylux implemented zero-tolerance policies, enhanced seating dispute protocols, and protections for reporting misconduct. Passengers noticed changes, attendants more attentive, problems handled professionally. Marcus reinstated his investment as changes were verified, stock recovering slowly. Hiring practices overhauled, diversity became inclusion-focused. 6 months later, Skylux thrived, passenger numbers up 12%, employee satisfaction at a high, toxic culture healing. Marcus announced the Second Chance program, offering rehabilitation and employment paths for those who'd lost jobs due to bias incidents. Accountability doesn't mean permanent punishment, he said. It means earning your way back. Trevor, Jessica, and Reynolds joined, confronting their actions' impact. Trevor transformed most, unlearning inherited biases. Jessica gained moral courage. Reynolds taught in the program, redeeming his career's end. Skylux led in customer satisfaction across demographics, a new standard set. In a private meeting, Marcus reviewed progress with Williams. You've shown real change, Marcus acknowledged. That deserves recognition. This hasn't been easy, Williams admitted, but necessary. Your experience forced us to confront ignored issues. Change often comes through confrontation, Marcus replied. They shook hands, partners in transformation. Sometimes justice isn't retribution. It's the quiet rebuilding of trust. ensuring fairness for all who step aboard, proving that even the smallest seat holds power to reshape an industry.